China has done it again, pissed off approximately every one of their neighbors. My name is Max Villman. I'm a former fighter pilot in the Swedish Air Force, and let's go. So we're going to take a look at this map. This map was published by one of the government organizations in China. So this is an official map from China. So this is what China thinks that belongs to them when it comes to territories. And what's notable about this map is that there are several territories all along their border that are currently in hands of other nations that China think that belongs to China. So we're going to start this video by taking a look at these territories and which other nations they are in dispute with. And then at the end of the video, I'm going through why I think this happens right now and what the consequences might be for the rest of the world. So be sure to stick around to the end. And while you're here, please give me a thumbs up here in the camera on the video. Also subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps me grow my channel to reach more people who are interested in this kind of content. But let's jump into the first dispute. And the first dispute is with China's largest neighbor when it comes to population at least, and that is India, of course. I think we have, several of us have seen the videos from a couple of years ago with massive big fight, looked like a medieval fight between Chinese and Indian soldiers. Fighting with sticks, with fists, kicking. Yeah, it looks quite strange seeing that, and let's hope it doesn't escalate beyond that. But this is the region around here, just in the northeastern part of India, that China thinks belongs to them, and that region is, I'm sorry about this translation, sorry about this pronunciation, I mean, Arunachal Pradesh. So you see the dotted line here. This is Indian region that China thinks belongs to Tibet. China invaded Tibet in the beginning of the 1950s and has been occupying it since then. And China believes that Arunachal Pradesh, the Indian Arunachal Pradesh, belongs to China. And if you take a look at this map from Wikipedia, we can see, I think many of us know that India is right here in the middle. We have Pakistan, we have Bangladesh, but there's also northeast of Bangladesh, a quite large part of India, and it's the red part here that China has decided it's theirs, even though it's Indian territory at this moment. So this region is the first region. So with India, there's quite a big territorial dispute from China's part. If you continue up in the north to this part up here, we have the long border with Russia, Russia and China. And actually in the beginning of the 2000s, in 2005 approximately, Russia and China actually agreed. There were several disputes along this borderline, but they agreed on a joint, they agreed to a joint border. And one part of this is that the peninsula here in the middle of the river was actually awarded to both nations, so it's legally belonging to both nations. But on this latest Chinese map from 2023, just a couple of days ago, China has painted this whole area as Chinese territory. So this is obviously quite strange because Russia and China was in agreement only 18 years ago about where the border is, and now it has obviously been changed in China. And we will talk about the reasons later on in this video. If we go further south, both Taiwan and China have said that these islands right here, the Senkaku Islands, they are not populated as far as I know, a small couple of islands, that these small islands, you can't even see them when you zoom out, they belong to Japan right now, but both Taiwan and China have had claims on them, and they are in this in the Chinese map right now. There is this considered a part of China. Chinese boats apparently almost every day go through these islands in the vicinity of them. They even anchor up several days at a time within the national waters of Japan then in these islands, just to basically put weight behind their claim there. So Senkaku Islands, it's belonging to Japan, but China has claims to them. And then we come to the most obvious part, I think the one that makes the most headlines as well. It is the conflict between Taiwan and China. So Taiwan has, as far as I know, always been part of China. Now it's the Republic of China, and on the other side you have the People's Republic of China. So you have two Chinas, and this is because during the Communist Revolution, The nationalist government of China fled to Taiwan and set up shop there, and since then they have been able to keep Taiwan as a separate China. And of course, both republics, both the People's Republic and the Republic of China, think that they are the real China. And how to solve this is, it's above my pay grade, so to speak. But we see almost every day escalations from Chinese point of view, where they go with ships, they go with airplanes, they do mock-up attacks, practice attacks towards Taiwan. Taiwan, of course, have their own drills and also security guarantees from the US, I believe, and also maybe from Japan. I'm a bit unsure about that. So this is obviously a very, very high tension area, and of course we will go into that in the later part of this video, why that is right now increasing the tension. But China, obviously, they think that Taiwan is theirs. And if we go further south, we go to the South China Sea, and here there's several disputes. So if you take a look at the original map, there's a bit bad resolution, but you see the dotted lines here. So China has claims to the entire of the South China Sea when it comes to small islands and also territorial waters. And if we go back to Google Maps here, the Philippines have built a base on the Spratly Islands here. And this is something that China does not recognize. Their Coast Guard, they do regular blockades of ships and supplies coming to these islands and from these islands, which of course increases the tension in the area. And in 2016, I believe, the International Court of Hague has actually decided that they belong to the Philippines. So the Philippines are right in their claim, not that China is wrong. And China has, of course, not recognized these claims by Hague. So even though nations around the South China Sea want to have this conflict resolved peacefully in international tribunals, international law, China does not recognize anything that goes against their will in this case. There's also several other islands when it comes to Malaysia. I think there's actually not a dispute about any specific islands, but definitely about economic zones, about fishing rights, about territorial waters. Malaysia has Sarawak and Sabah regions. Brunei, the Sultanate, has also, of course, with their water. And these waters are very, very important for fishing for the nations around the South China Sea. And China thinks, of course, that they have the fishing rights in this area. Indonesia, I think, is the same. No territorial disputes. It's about economic zones, about the waters, fishing, etc. Vietnam also has some disputes with China. So even though they have a history of both being communist regimes, they are not in agreement about everything, obviously. So I think I'm going to stop with the territories there. I probably missed some things. Write in the comments below if I missed anything. But let's go into a little bit of analysis why this is right now. So there is a big conflict going on in Europe between Russia and Ukraine. Russia has invaded Ukraine. I think you cannot have missed that. And that has put a lot of pressure on the West when it comes to energy prices, inflation, and so on and so forth. So the West is basically in a form of stagnation now when it comes to economics. The US have been forced to focus a lot on that conflict as well, and the entire Western world basically. And that has given China the reason to believe that they now have an opportunity to act. They have an opportunity to push forward in their claims because the Western world, especially the United States, is looking elsewhere. So from China's point of view, the West and the United States are weak right now. You can also see the turbulence, political turbulence going on in the US. The US seems more divided than they have ever been. So China is using this opportunity, as they see it, to move their positions forward. And this, of course, makes it so that the likelihood, at least, of military escalation has increased significantly, especially when it comes to Taiwan and China. And this is obviously something that would have a huge impact for the entire world. So this is a very, very big concern, and this could lead to a big war, and that could escalate well beyond just China and Taiwan, of course, and it would have effects for the entire world and the entire world economy. So I think that is what China are seeing. They're seeing an opportunity to act here, and they are taking advantage of that to move their positions forward, which of course is very, very dangerous for the world. And what can we do about it? Well, as private persons, not so much, but one thing that we know is that these regimes, they are able to compete on Western markets, selling their products just as well as almost any Western nation. And of course, we can all vote with how we use our money and so on. So that's just something to at least, at least think about. But I will end it here. If you like the video, please like the video. It helps me grow the channel. Subscribe and ring the notification bell. You have my social media below. You have a link to my Ko-fi if you want to support this channel and buy me a coffee. That's what makes these kind of videos possible. And of course, there's a lot of other things in the links if you want to support and help. But I will, as I said, end it there. And until next time, as always, fly safe.